Bodowa Geshe. Now, it seems that in Lhasa, just like Bodowa Geshe, there is also Jongdunba Geshe, and their temples as well. There are many caves in the temple. There are also some including their statues, the ancestral temple of many great masters of the Kadampa school. There are more places I used to want to go to worship, and in the past I really looked forward to attending. Now, I seem to be getting older, and I have no interest anymore. Bodowa Geshe also said this: all good roots are controlled by vows. Therefore, making aspirations according to the merits accumulated is very important. Earlier, we talked about the difference between making aspirations and dedication. One is a merit with substance, and one is a merit without substance. But here it seems that making aspirations and dedication are basically the same thing, more or less. Anyway, for all merits, make aspirations and dedications at the same time. That's how it is. I make this aspiration for what I will do in the future, and so on. We should dedicate this merit to all sentient beings. This is also a kind of aspiration, isn't it? I hope that the merit I have accumulated today can be completely received by all sentient beings. In this way, this is also a kind of aspiration and also a kind of dedication. What we talked about earlier might have been a single aspiration on its own. But here, it's a kind of motivation that combines both aspiration and dedication. This is very crucial. Karawa Geshe said, even the smallest good deed will yield boundless results. Among all dedications made at the 3 times, the motivation should always come first. Sometimes we might recite Om Mani Padme Hum, or turn a prayer wheel, or listen to a short teaching. And these all seem like very small virtuous roots. But if you truly dedicate these virtuous roots properly, then the merit is extremely great. Whether your motivation is included or not, and whether your dedication is included or not, this is extremely crucial. It's like 2 people making an investment. For example, you invest 10,000 yuan and I invest 10,000 yuan. But the other person invests in something with a particularly high interest rate, while the other person does not. In the end, the profits they receive can be vastly different, even though the investment was the same. Jakyapa Geshe said, to understand all phenomena and to strive diligently in practice, making aspirations for the benefit of all sentient beings is an indispensable method. Whenever we do any virtuous deed, on one hand, we must do our best and not be lazy. Also, whenever we perform any virtuous action, we should make aspirations. The main dedication should be for the benefit of all sentient beings. This point is truly indispensable. All of you present here have listened to so much already. Nowadays, there is so much Dharma being taught. People's ears are getting smaller and smaller, for many people, because the holes in their ears are getting smaller and smaller now. They are filled with sounds inside. But if we do not dedicate our virtuous roots properly, then it's actually no different from listening to some worldly classes. There's really no difference. Venerable Sharawa said, all virtuous actions that we perform, if they are done with the wish to benefit others and to attain Buddhahood, complete with the 6 perfections, then this is the vast and skillful means. This is to be embraced by the 6 perfections. It is upheld by the wisdom that realizes emptiness. This is pure and skillful means. Dedicating it to unsurpassed enlightenment, and continuing without exhaustion until the attainment of Buddhahood. This is called the inexhaustible skillful means. There are 3 types of skillful means. One is the vast skillful means embraced by the 6 perfections. Another is the pure skillful means. This is upheld by the wisdom of selflessness. And another is the inexhaustible skillful means. This is the act of dedication. So as I mentioned earlier, when we recite something, didn't I just mention Omahom? The A in Omahom represents the speech of all Buddhas. Om represents the body of all Buddhas. Hom represents the mind of all Buddhas. So Omahom actually signifies the body, speech, and mind of all Buddhas. It appears in the form of a mantra. So we often chant Omahom, or Om Mani Padme Hum, or Ahshasamaha. These are, for example, forms of the Dzogchen mantra. If you chant this mantra, at the beginning there was a motivation. I want to recite for the benefit of all living beings. Then in the middle, I concentrate on, finally, I'm not free now, I got a call. Or it's time to go to work or go to class. Then it is Sonamde Tanjarebani, or Manjusri has wisdom, courage, and bravery. Samantabhadra's conduct and wisdom are the same. If you return the devotion in this way, the good deeds done in a short period of time, they all have a beginning and an end. So everyone should learn this. If we just talk about it, if you speak well, then you will do poorly. What have we become? The theorists put it very well. The Dharma teachers also speak very well. The tutor below also speak very well. But if no one does it, if nobody practices it, then in the end, if we don't actually put it into practice, there definitely won't be any change in our hearts. So our speaking is just to let everyone understand. That's the purpose. It's not just so that I can talk and you listen very diligently, at least on the surface. That's not the goal. You must, after hearing it, even if you just learn a little bit, you see what we learned today is very simple. It's just dedication of merit, as mentioned earlier. Do not use harsh or hurtful words, and do not look for or point out the faults or shortcomings of others. Instead, try to transform negative emotions such as greed, anger, and ignorance into a part of your spiritual path, and so on. For these important things, even if we can do just a little, we should do that little. This is very important. Furthermore, as Thogme Sangpo Rinpoche said, all the great and small virtuous deeds we accumulate are for the sake of countless beings attaining Buddhahood. By dedicating this merit with the understanding of the emptiness of the three spheres, the merit becomes immeasurable and the most supreme method. The Venerable One also, at the end of any virtuous deed, always uses the verse, Manjusri has wisdom, courage and bravery. There are 2 verses used for this. Generally, if you have time, it's best to recite, Manjusri has wisdom, courage and bravery. Samantabhadra's conduct and wisdom are the same. I now dedicate all roots of virtue, always learning to follow their example. Praised by all the Buddhas of the 3 times. That is the latter verse. If you don't have time, just recite 1 verse. If you have time, recite these 2 verses at the end. This is the shortest version of the King of Aspiration prayers. In your mind, also think, how does Bodhisattva Manjushri dedicate? How does Bodhisattva Samantabhadra dedicate? Then I will dedicate in the same way. From now on, I will also follow their example. Thinking in this way, this is a very simple method. For example, when we go on a pilgrimage, if we really don't have time to recite the dedication verses, then I will just make a simple dedication. Then when I eat, I make offerings above and give below. If there really isn't enough time, just recite Sonam Deyi and these 2 dedication verses. This is very important. See, Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo also at the end of any virtuous deed. Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo, truly here for us, he is the best example. There are 5 aspects at the conclusion. First, why and how to compose treatises. For the benefit of those who wish to practice the Bodhisattva path and in accordance with the meanings of the sutras, tantras and treatises, the Noble Ones composed the 37 practices of Bodhisattvas. Following the sutras, tantras and other teachings of the Buddha as taught in the Mahayana Tripitaka, and elucidating their profound intent, the meanings explained in all the treatises, the great masters of the past who appeared in this world, and all these great monks and masters in general, especially the Venerable Atisha, Potowa, Dromtompa, and the other spiritual teachers of the Kadampa tradition, as well as the instructions from the author's own teachers on how to practice all the trainings and conduct of the Bodhisattvas. He condensed them into 37 verses for the benefit of all fortunate beings who wish to practice the path of the Bodhisattvas and to earnestly compose this 37 practices of Bodhisattvas. Everyone should understand the meaning of this, right? It is for the benefit of these people, as mentioned earlier in the outline. It addresses the why and how. Why did he compose it and how did he compose it? He composed it specifically for those who are studying the Bodhisattva path. How did he compose it? He relied on the sutras and tantras. It seems there aren't that many references from the Tantras though, but I'm not sure exactly how the Tantras are involved here. It appears that most of it is from the exoteric teachings. I used to ask some Khenpos about this as well. When I first started studying, I liked to ask questions, so I would ask them. At that time, there was this book called 100,000 Whys. But in this, I didn't see any references from the Tantras. So where exactly did Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo's Tantra sources come from? Here it refers to the sutras and tantras spoken by the Buddha, as well as the treatises composed by the great masters of the past, and also the teachings from Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo's own teachers. All of these were compiled into these 37 verses. In fact, when it comes to the words of the wise, truly, in the world we often say thick books, thin reading. If it's a thick book but the words are from the wise, you can read it in a concise way, turning it into essential instructions. So after studying it this time, I feel that maybe those of you who are wise already know this. Wow, it turns out that the 37 practices of a bodhisattva is not easy at all. In the past, we would just recite the lineage and briefly explain, like the teachings of our precious guru, which should be in one of his instructions. He listened to it many times, and we think for someone as wise as His Holiness, he still listened to it many times. For us, at most, we listen once, maybe twice, and that's it. That's how we think. But later on, it really became clear that there is a very profound meaning within this. It has unique blessings and unique power. If we often read and study this, the anger in our own mind stream will also be pacified. And our intention to benefit sentient beings will grow day by day. This is absolutely certain. So everyone should value this more from now on. In the future, when you have the right conditions, you should often recite the 37 practices of a bodhisattva, even if it's just to pass on the oral transmission or to explain it to others. For example, if you're on a bus and there's someone next to you, you could ask, would you like me to tell you about the 37 practices of a bodhisattva? Next it says, proclaiming without error, because my wisdom is shallow and I lack realization. My words may not be pleasing to the wise, but since they are based on many sutras and treatises, this 37 practices of a bodhisattva is certainly without error. He says, I, the author Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo, my innate wisdom is also shallow, and the wisdom gained through practice is also rather weak. Therefore I do not dare to claim that these words will please those wise ones who are well versed in the Buddhist scriptures, nor do I dare to say that my expressions are elegant and refined in their exposition. The author is very humble. So in our Tibetan tradition, most are very humble. Except for Venerable Longchenpa, mostly were especially humble. As for Venerable Longchenpa, if he were to speak here, he would say, within the stainless radiance of wisdom, how eloquent speech shines forth, and so on. He would definitely praise himself first. But as for Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo, he says, my wisdom is shallow, and my practice is not good. So there is certainly nothing here that would delight the wise ones. In that case, does that mean this is a mistaken treatise? Actually, there is no need to be afraid. But in terms of the meaning being explained, it is not something I made up or fabricated out of thin air. It should be said, just as mentioned before, that it is based on the scriptures and the tantras and relies on the teachings of the great masters of the past. All of these have been carefully compiled together. Therefore, I believe these practices of a bodhisattva, or its stages of actual practice, are completely free from any error whatsoever. This is extremely, extremely excellent. Wasn't this already mentioned before? Wasn't it in the Wodong region or somewhere like that? At that time, when Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo was teaching, many people asked Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo, could you write a treatise for us on how to become wealthy? So Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo wrote this 37 practices of a bodhisattva. After he finished the writing, he proofread it on the rooftop. When he got to the very last page, suddenly a strong wind blew and all the pages were blown away. But this was actually a very auspicious sign. From then on, this 37 practices of a bodhisattva was destined to spread throughout the 10 directions. But since he no longer had the book, what could he do? Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo, relying on his memory, rewrote the treatise he had previously composed. So Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo truly was, and the teachings he gave at that time were also extremely extraordinary and remarkable in many ways. Later on, a number of his devoted disciples mentioned that during that particular period of time, it seemed as though Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo was gravely ill and suffering from a serious illness. The disciples were afraid that he was about to pass away. Some of them said, Master, could you please leave us a testament? Then Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo replied, my personal testament is the 37 practices of a bodhisattva. So this is how truly extraordinary it is. Now let's discuss one or two more points or something like that. Next is humbly requesting forgiveness. Because the vast conduct of the bodhisattva is difficult for someone foolish like me to fathom, for any faults such as contradictions or inconsistencies, I sincerely ask the holy ones for forgiveness. As was mentioned earlier, the 37 practices of a bodhisattva that was discussed before definitely contains no errors. There are no mistakes in the words or in the meaning. However, because the conduct of all bodhisattvas is as vast as the ocean and as profound as the sky, Bodhisattva Thogme Sangpo humbly said again, for someone like me, whose wisdom is shallow, it is very difficult to fathom or comprehend. Therefore, if there are any contradictions or inconsistencies in words or meaning, or any such faults, he sincerely and wholeheartedly asks for forgiveness before all impartial ones. And asks that you also grant forgiveness. Finally, should we dedicate the merit? Dedicate the virtue of composing this treatise to Bodhi. With this virtuous aspiration may all sentient beings with the supreme conventional bodhicitta become equal to the great compassionate Lord Avalokiteshvara, who abides neither in existence nor in nirvana and is sovereign over all. By the virtue generated from explaining these practices of the bodhisattva, may the wisdom that directly realizes the ultimate emptiness arise swiftly in the mind stream of all sentient beings. which is called the ultimate bodhicitta, as well as the mind inspired by great compassion, the aspiration to attain perfect enlightenment for the benefit of others, which is called the conventional bodhicitta. To what do we dedicate this virtue? We dedicate it to the ultimate and conventional bodhicitta. May all sentient beings possess such qualities, and upheld by such bodhicitta, may these beings abide in neither of the two extremes, and attain the state of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. That is the meaning here, isn't it? With supreme wisdom, they do not remain on the side of the three realms of cyclic existence. And with the power of great compassion and the Mahayana motivation, they do not remain on the side of mere peace. Thus they realize the perfect enlightenment that abides in neither extreme, and through great compassion with no attachment, and the excellent conduct of skillful means, until the end of cyclic existence, continually accomplish the benefit of sentient beings, just like the incomparable protector of the three times, the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva's state. All of us sentient beings relying on such treatises. So you could say you listen to the teachings, we translate them, or as we explain them, everyone should participate together as well. I don't remember when it started, but from the beginning until now. Everyone has attended these teachings for quite a long time, haven't you? We have also studied together. So in this way, let all sentient beings be like Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, not abiding in the two extremes and ultimately attaining enlightenment. This is our dedication. Today, I would also like to take a moment to mention here the elder Dharma Master Jingkong, whom I have known from before. Dharma Master Jingkong, a respected teacher, also manifested parinirvana this morning. For our Buddhist community, this is also a truly very deeply sorrowful and heartbreaking event. But there is nothing we can do about it. When reciting the King of Aspiration prayers, everyone should dedicate the merit. May the elder Dharma Master's aspirations be as vast as space itself, until samsara is emptied. May he always abide in the realm of sentient beings.
Kirgana jirano chupan chupun zonen droa droa bandangara badna sodargye bandangara badna sodargye bandangara badna sodargye